The great crystal dome of Vextara stretched high above the Galactic Council chamber. Inside the massive hall, representatives from 47 different species sat in their specially designed seats. Each alien race had their own section with perfect atmosphere controls and gravity settings. The air hummed with translation devices working at full speed. Today was special. Today they would discuss the newest discovery in their galaxy, a small blue and green planet called Earth, home to a species that called themselves humans. Captain Jae-ho Kim sat perfectly still in the human section. His dark uniform was simple compared to the bright robes and metal suits worn by other delegates. Next to him sat diplomat Soo-jin Park. She held a small datapad and watched everything with quiet eyes. They were the only two humans in a room filled with hundreds of aliens. Ambassador Krelon of the Helix Empire stood at the center podium. His tall purple body gleamed under the lights. 6 arms moved as he spoke. His voice carried clearly through the chamber. Fellow council members, Krelon began. We gather today to examine our newest galactic neighbors, the species from the 3rd planet of the Sol system. They call themselves humans. The ambassador waved one of his hands. A huge hologram appeared above the podium. It showed Earth spinning slowly in space. Cities glowed like tiny dots on the surface. Ships moved between the planet and its single moon. As you can see, Krelon continued, they have achieved basic space travel. They have even built small stations around their planet. Most impressive for such a young species. Several alien delegates made sounds that might have been approval. The Zephyrian delegate clicked his sharp mandibles together. His insect-like head turned toward the hologram. How long have they had spaceflight? Approximately 60 of their years, Krelon replied. They use primitive chemical rockets, very slow, very inefficient. A wave of what sounded like laughter rippled through the chamber. The Nereid representative from the water worlds bubbled with amusement. Her fish-like features showed clear entertainment. Chemical rockets, she said through her translator. How delightfully primitive. We abandoned such methods 3,000 years ago. More laughter filled the air. Even the serious, crystalline delegate from the Silicon worlds made a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Only the humans remained quiet. Krelon activated more holograms. These showed human cities, human vehicles, human technology. Their energy production is mostly nuclear fission and fossil fuels. They still dig materials from the ground using mechanical tools. Their weapons are kinetic projectiles and explosive devices. The Trilaxian delegate stood up. His gray skin looked almost silver under the lights. Surely you jest, Ambassador. No spacefaring species could be so backward. I assure you the data is accurate, Krelon replied. He waved another hand, and new images appeared. These showed human soldiers in combat. Tanks rolling across battlefields, aircraft dropping bombs. They still engage in warfare using these primitive methods. The laughter grew louder now. The massive Gorlan delegate from the heavy gravity worlds slammed his fist on his desk. The sound echoed like thunder. This is most amusing. They fight, with metal sticks and explosive powder. Even the usually quiet Etherian delegate from the gas giant systems made soft, singing sounds that meant happiness in their culture. Krelon continued his presentation. He showed human agriculture, human medicine, human communication systems. Each revelation brought more laughter from the assembled aliens. Their computers use electricity flowing through silicon pathways, he explained. They transmit information using electromagnetic radiation. They travel on their planet using wheels and combustion engines. The hegemony delegate laughed so hard his tentacles changed color from blue to bright orange. Wheels, he exclaimed. They still use wheels to move around. And they live for less than 100 of their years, added the eternal delegate. Her energy form flickered with what looked like amusement. Such brief lifespans, how do they accomplish anything? Through all of this, Captain Jae-ho Kim sat without moving. His face showed no emotion. He watched every alien carefully. He listened to every word. Beside him, Soo-jin Park took quiet notes on her datapad. The question before us today, Krelon announced, is what to do with these humans. They have achieved spaceflight. which technically qualifies them for contact. However, their technology and society are clearly far behind galactic standards. The Meridian delegate raised a crystalline hand. Her voice sounded like singing glass. Perhaps we should establish a protection zone around their system. Keep them safe while they develop naturally. An excellent suggestion, agreed the Altarian delegate. His metal body reflected the lights as he moved. We have done this with other primitive species. In a few thousand years, they may be ready for real contact. The Zephyrian delegate clicked his mandibles again. I suggest we classify them as an entertainment species. Their antics could provide amusement for the galactic networks. Imagine the viewing numbers. This brought the loudest laughter yet. Many delegates made gestures that clearly meant agreement in their various cultures. The Nereid delegate bubbled again. Yes, their primitive wars would make excellent comedy programming, so serious about such simple conflicts. We could establish observation posts, suggested the crystalline delegate. Study their development patterns, create educational materials about early species evolution. The Trilaxian delegate nodded. A living museum of galactic prehistory, fascinating from a scientific perspective. Krelon looked around the chamber. Shall we vote then? All in favor of classifying humanity as a developing entertainment species under galactic protection? Hands, tentacles, claws, and energy fields rose throughout the chamber. The vote was unanimous among the alien species. Motion carried, Krelon announced. Humanity shall be classified as protected entertainment. No direct interference. Limited observation only. All military species are forbidden from their system. As the session ended, aliens began leaving their seats. They continued talking and laughing about the amusing humans. Their voices created a buzz of conversation throughout the chamber. The Gorlan delegate stopped near the human section. He looked down at Jae-ho Kim with what might have been kindness on his massive features. Do not worry, little human, he said through his translator. We will keep your people safe. Perhaps in a few millennia, you will be ready to join us as equals. Jae-ho Kim stood up slowly. He was much smaller than the alien, but his voice was steady. Thank you for your consideration, honored delegate. We appreciate your wisdom. The Gorlan delegate made a sound like a landslide laughing. Such politeness, how charming. He walked away, still chuckling to himself. Soon the chamber was empty except for the two humans. They sat in silence for several minutes. Finally, Soo-Jin Park looked at her companion. Well, she said quietly. That went exactly as expected. Jae-ho, Kim nodded. Perfect, actually. Better than we hoped. They really think we're primitive. Completely. They see exactly what we want them to see. Soo-Jin Park closed her data pad. The plan can proceed then. Yes, Jae-ho Kim replied. Phase 2 begins immediately. By the time they realize what we really are, it will be far too late. They stood up together and walked toward the exit. Behind them, the great crystal dome continued to gleam with reflected light. The empty chamber held no hint of the storm that was coming. The galaxy had laughed at humanity today. Soon, no one would be laughing at all. 3 months after the Galactic Council meeting, Commander Dongwoo Lee stood in the control room of Mining Station Alpha 7. Through the thick glass windows, he could see the rocky surface of the asteroid they were supposedly mining. Ancient. Machines moved slowly across the gray landscape. They looked old and barely functional. The machines were perfect for their purpose. They fooled everyone who saw them. Commander, called out Engineer Ha-Yun Choi from her station. Helix Empire scout ship approaching. Estimated arrival in 20 minutes. Dongwoo nodded calmly. Begin the performance protocol. Make sure everything looks properly broken and inefficient. Around the control room, his team began their well-practiced routine. They switched off the advanced displays and activated older-looking equipment. They put on worn work clothes over their real uniforms. They made their posture more tired and defeated. Ha-Yun pressed several hidden buttons on her console. Deep beneath the asteroid, the real mining operation shut down temporarily. The quantum extractors that could process entire asteroids in hours went silent. The matter converters that turned raw rock into pure elements stopped working. The energy collectors that gathered power from empty space powered down to minimum levels. All of this happened 3 kilometers below the surface where no alien scanner could detect it. "How much are we supposed to have mined this month?" asked technician Kyungmin Oh. "About 2 tons of basic metals," replied Ha-eun. "Enough to look like we are trying but failing badly." The team laughed quietly. In reality, they had processed over 50,000 tons of rare materials. Those materials were already on their way to hidden construction sites throughout the galaxy. Sites where humanity was building things that would have terrified the alien species. The Helix Empire scout ship appeared as a bright dot against the stars. It grew larger quickly as it approached the asteroid. The ship was sleek and beautiful, made from materials that seemed to glow with their own light. It was impressive by galactic standards. It was also 300 years behind human technology. "Incoming communication," reported Communications Officer Minji Nam. "Put them through," Dongwu ordered. "Remember, everyone, we are simple miners, trying our best." The main screen activated. The purple face of a Helix Empire captain appeared. His 6 eyes looked at them with obvious amusement. "Greetings, human mining station. I am Captain Vextal of the scout vessel Shining Dawn. We are conducting our monthly inspection of this system." Dongwu put on his most humble expression. "Welcome, honored Captain. We are happy to cooperate with the inspection." "Of course, you are," Vextal replied with what passed for a smile among his species. "How proceeds your mining operation?" "Slowly, I am afraid," Dongwu said. He tried to sound embarrassed. "Our equipment is not very advanced. We have only extracted 2.3 tons of metal this month." Vextal made a sound like wind chimes, laughing. "So little. Perhaps you need better tools. The Empire might consider providing some basic assistance." "That would be very generous," Dongwu replied. What he did not say was that human technology could have stripped this entire asteroid system clean in less than a day. The quantum extractors running below them could process matter at the atomic level. They could turn asteroids into pure energy if needed. "May we come aboard for inspection?" Vextal asked. "Of course, honored Captain." The Helix Empire ship docked with the mining station. Captain Vextal and 2 of his officers came aboard. They were tall and elegant, moving with the confidence of a superior species visiting primitives. Dongwu and his team gave them a complete tour. They showed the aliens exactly what they expected to see. Old machines that barely worked, computer systems that used primitive electronics, mining equipment that looked like it belonged in a museum. "Your power generation is quite limited," observed one of the Helix officers. He was looking at what appeared to be a basic fusion reactor. "Yes," replied Ha-eun sadly. "We can only produce enough energy for basic operations. Sometimes we have to shut down sections of the station to conserve power." The officer nodded sympathetically. He had no idea that the real power systems were buried deep in the asteroid. Systems that drew energy from quantum vacuum fluctuations. Systems that could power entire star systems if needed. Captain Vextal examined their mineral storage areas. He saw exactly 2.3 tons of basic metals sitting in crude containers. He did not see the sophisticated matter transmission. Systems that had already sent thousands of tons of processed materials to secret human facilities. Materials that were being turned into weapons and ships beyond alien imagination. "Your progress is admirable for such a young species," Vextal said kindly. "The Empire appreciates your efforts to contribute to galactic commerce." "We do our best," Dongwu replied humbly. After the inspection, the aliens returned to their ship. As they departed, Captain Vextal sent a final message. "Continue your work, brave humans. Perhaps in a few centuries, you will achieve truly impressive results." When the alien ship disappeared among the stars, Dongwu allowed himself a small smile. "Resume normal operations," he commanded. Around him, his team removed their disguises. The tired miners became elite military engineers. The primitive equipment displays switched back to advanced control systems. Deep below, the real mining operation came back online. Meanwhile, on Earth, General Taemin Kang sat in a secure conference room deep beneath the mountains of Korea. The walls were lined with screens showing star maps and tactical displays. Around the table sat the leaders of humanity's greatest secret. Report from Mining Station Alpha 7 confirms successful deception, reported Director Yuna Lim from Deep Space Intelligence. The Helix Empire suspects nothing. Excellent, replied General Kang. What about our other operations? Trade Station Beta 4 successfully convinced Zephyrian merchants that we are desperate for basic technology, reported Agent Jin-Soo Park. They are now providing us with detailed scans of their latest warships. The Nereid delegation continues to share classified information about galactic defense systems, added Intelligence Officer So-Ra Kim. They think we are too primitive to understand the implications. General Kang nodded. Dr. Minho Beck, how is the research division progressing? Dr. Beck stood up from his chair. His usually calm face showed excitement. We have made remarkable progress, General. The alien technology samples we have been given are helping us understand their limitations. He activated a holographic display. It showed human and alien technology side by side. Their faster-than-light travel uses dimensional folding. Effective, but it leaves detectable signatures. Our quantum tunnel drives leave no trace. Their weapons rely on particle acceleration and energy projection, he continued. Powerful, but they follow predictable physics. Our dimensional phase weapons can strike through their shields without being detected. Their defensive systems are designed to stop known forms of attack, Dr. Beck concluded. They have no protection against technologies they have never seen. Director Lim leaned forward. How long until we have a complete technological advantage? At current pace, 18 months, Dr. Beck replied. Possibly less if the aliens continue to underestimate us. General Kang looked around the table. Phase 3 will begin in 6 months. All deep space construction projects must be ready. The hidden shipyards are ahead of schedule, reported Admiral Kyung-suk An. We will have a full battle fleet, ready within 12 months. Perfect, said General Kang. Continue the deception protocols. Let them think we are bumbling children playing with toys. What about the Morden Empire? Asked Director Lim. Intelligence suggests they are planning expansion into this sector. Let them come, General Kang replied coldly. They will provide the perfect opportunity to reveal our true capabilities. Back on Mining Station Alpha 7, Commander Dongwu Lee watched the stars through his observation window. Somewhere out there, alien species went about their daily lives. They traded, they explored, they governed their territories. They had no idea that humanity was watching every move they made, learning from every mistake they revealed, preparing for the day when the mask would come off. Engineer Ha Yun Choi joined him at the window. Do you ever feel bad about deceiving them? Dongwu considered the question. They chose to see us as primitive. They chose to laugh at us instead of respecting us. We are simply giving them what they expect to see. Until we do not, he agreed. Far below them, the quantum extractors continued their work, converting matter to energy, building the foundation of humanity's true power, preparing for the day when the galaxy would learn that underestimating humanity was the greatest mistake they had ever made. The masquerade was working perfectly. Soon it would be time for the final act. 2 years had passed since the Galactic Council first laughed at humanity. Trade Captain Yunbi Song stood on the bridge of her merchant vessel, the New Soul. Through the viewport, she could see the massive space station known as Commerce Hub, Zeta. Ships from dozens of species docked at its countless ports. Captain, called her first officer, Pilot Junho Ryu, the Trilaxian trade representative is requesting permission to come aboard. Of course, Unbi replied with a bright smile. We must be good hosts to our generous alien friends. Her crew exchanged hidden glances. They all knew the game they were playing. For 2 years, Yunbi had been establishing human trading posts throughout the galaxy. To alien observers, she appeared to be an enthusiastic but incompetent merchant. Her deals always seemed to favor the aliens. Her human settlements looked small and struggling. The truth was very different. Trade Representative Nix Thaler came aboard the new Soul. His gray skin was marked with the silver patterns that showed high rank among the Trilaxians. His 3 eyes looked around the ship with obvious amusement. "Captain Song," he said through his translator. "Always a pleasure to see our eager human friends." "The pleasure is mine, honored representative," Yunbi replied. She bowed in the clumsy way that aliens expected from humans. "I hope today we can make another beneficial trade agreement." Nixtler made the sound that passed for laughter among his people. "Indeed, I have a most generous offer for you today." He activated a holographic display. It showed mineral composition charts and shipping routes. "The Trilaxian Commerce Guild is willing to provide you with advanced mining scanners. In exchange, we ask only for exclusive trading rights at 12 of your human outposts." Yunbi pretended to study the offer carefully. She made expressions that suggested she was struggling with complex mathematics. "This seems very generous, but I am not sure we can afford such advanced equipment." "Oh, but you can," Nixtiller insisted. "The scanners are older models. We are upgrading to newer systems anyway. Consider it a gift to help your species develop." What Nixtiller did not say was that the scanners were 500 years old by Trilaxian standards. He believed he was getting exclusive access to human trade routes in exchange for worthless junk. What Yunbi did not say was that her people had already analyzed similar scanners years ago. Human technology was now advanced enough to build quantum-level mineral detectors that could map entire star systems from light years away. "I accept your generous offer," Yunbi said finally. "The human colonies will be very grateful." They signed the agreement with great ceremony. Nixtalar was clearly pleased with himself. He had just gained control of 12 strategic locations throughout the Outer Rim territories, or so he believed. After the Trilaxian left, Yunbi activated her secure communication system. The bridge transformed from a primitive human merchant vessel to an advanced intelligence-gathering platform. "Analysis report, Zeta-12 to Earth Command," she said into the encrypted channel. "Successful acquisition of Trilaxian mining technology, samples. Also confirmed alien shipping schedules for the next 6 months." The voice of analyst Jiwoo Nam came through clearly from his hidden facility on Earth. "Excellent work, Captain. Any new intelligence on defensive systems?" "The Trilaxians are upgrading their scanner networks on 17 worlds," Yunbi reported. "They believe the new systems will detect any unauthorized ships within 50 light years." "Good to know," Jiwoo replied with amusement. "Our phase shift technology will render those scanners completely useless," Yunbi smiled. "How are the other operations proceeding?" "Better than expected. The aliens continue to treat our facilities as harmless trading posts. They have no idea that each location is actually an advanced military base disguised as a struggling human colony. This was the heart of humanity's long game. Every human presence in the galaxy served multiple purposes. Trade posts gathered intelligence. Mining stations tested alien responses to human expansion. Diplomatic missions mapped the political structure of galactic civilization. On the water world of Aquatica Prime, cultural liaison Seung-ho Park sat in a classroom full of young Nereid students. He was teaching them about human history and culture. The Nereid teachers watched with gentle amusement as he struggled with their complex language. "Can you tell us about human warfare?" asked a young student with bright blue scales. Seung-ho put on an embarrassed expression. "I am afraid human conflicts are very simple compared to advanced galactic military science. We mostly use kinetic weapons and explosive devices." The Nereid teacher, Professor Coral Lin, made soft bubbling sounds of sympathy. "Do not be ashamed, young human. All species start with primitive warfare. In time, your people will learn more sophisticated methods." "Could you perhaps explain how advanced species conduct military operations?" Seung-ho asked innocently. "It would help me understand what humans might achieve someday." Professor Coralin was happy to explain. She told him about force field generators, energy beam weapons, and dimensional shield technology. She described fleet formations, communication, protocols, and supply line management. She even showed him classified battle footage from recent conflicts. She had no idea that everything she said was being recorded and transmitted to human military analysts. She believed she was educating a primitive species that posed no threat to anyone. Back on Earth, Admiral Kyung-suk-an reviewed the intelligence reports in her underground command center. The facility was hidden beneath several miles of rock and ocean. Its existence was known to fewer than 100 humans. The Nereid defensive grid relies entirely on energy-based detection systems, reported her tactical officer, Commander Yu-jin Han. They have no sensors designed to detect matter phase technology. The Zephyrian battle fleets use standard formation, patterns that have not changed in 3 centuries, added intelligence officer Haewon Lee. Their tactics are completely predictable. The crystalline entities believe their silicon-based armor is impenetrable, said weapons specialist Tae-young Kim. They have never encountered quantum dissolution weaponry. Admiral An nodded as she listened to each report. How many alien species have shared classified information with our people? 34 of the 47 council species, replied her aide, Lieutenant Sun Mi-cho. They all believe they are helping primitive humans understand the galaxy. And our hidden construction projects? Phase 1 shipyards are complete, reported Chief Engineer Bo Young Kang. Phase 2 facilities will be ready in 8 months. Phase 3 construction begins next year. Admiral An looked at the strategic display showing human positions throughout the galaxy. To alien observers, they looked like scattered settlements and trade posts. In reality, they formed a carefully planned network of bases and supply stations. The Morden Empire is becoming more aggressive, observed Commander Han. Intelligence suggests they plan to expand into this sector within 2 years. Perfect, Admiral An replied coldly. Let them come. We need a good excuse to reveal our capabilities. Meanwhile, in the Mordan Empire, War Chief Thrakmor studied intelligence reports about the expanding human presence. His species were professional warriors, dedicated to conquest and domination. They had enslaved dozens of other races over the centuries. These humans appear weak, reported his intelligence officer, Sub-Commander Krexval. Their technology is primitive. Their military forces are minimal. How minimal? Thrakmor demanded. Each human settlement has perhaps 50 to 100 defenders. They use kinetic weapons and chemical explosives. No energy shields. No advanced propulsion systems. Thrakmor's predatory instincts were satisfied. They will make excellent slaves. Their worlds appear to have useful resources. Shall we begin invasion preparations? Asked Krexval. Yes. Target their outer settlements first. Once we have captured some humans, we can determine the best use for their species. What neither Morden warrior knew was that their communications were being intercepted by human intelligence systems. Every word they spoke was recorded and analyzed. Their military plans were known to human commanders within minutes of being made. On Earth, President Jinna Kim received the Morden intelligence in her secure office. She was a small woman with gray hair and quiet eyes. She had been leading humanity's secret preparation for 5 years. So the Mordan Empire has decided to test us, she said to her advisors. How convenient. Should we warn the Galactic Council? Asked Foreign Minister Hee Jin-chano. President Kim replied. Let the Council continue to see us as helpless primitives. When the Morden attack, it will provide the perfect opportunity for humanity to reveal its true nature, Defense Minister. Wu Xiaojang activated a secure communication channel. Admiral An, you are authorized to begin Operation Sunrise preparations. Phase 3 may begin ahead of schedule. Admiral An's voice came through clearly from her hidden command center. Understood, Madam President. The Shadow Fleet will be ready, President. Kim looked out the window of her office. Above, she could see the lights of Seoul glittering in the darkness. Beyond that, the stars waited. Soon, those stars would witness humanity's emergence as a galactic power. The masquerade has served its purpose, she said quietly. Soon the galaxy will learn what humanity really is. Her advisors nodded. They had all worked toward this moment for years. The plan was complex and dangerous. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began at dawn on Vextara. Foreign Minister Hye-jin Cha sat in the human section, watching as alien representatives filed into the great crystal chamber. Their usual confidence was gone. Fear filled the air like a poisonous cloud. Ambassador Krelon of the Helix Empire stood at the central podium. His 6 arms moved nervously as he activated the holographic displays. Images of burning worlds appeared above the chamber floor. "Fellow council members," Krelon announced, "the Mordan Empire has begun military expansion into neutral territories. In the past 6 months, they have conquered 14 star systems." Gasps of shock echoed through the chamber. The Zephyrian delegate clicked his mandibles in distress. 14 systems? How is this possible? The Mordan fleets move faster than our intelligence networks can track them, Krelon replied grimly. They strike without warning. They show no mercy to civilian populations. New images appeared in the holographic display. Cities reduced to rubble. Refugee ships fleeing destroyed worlds. Entire populations being loaded onto Mordan slave ships. The Nereid representative bubbled with terror. They are moving toward the core worlds. At this rate, they will reach our territories within 2 years. What response can we mount? Demanded the Trilaxian delegate. His usually calm voice cracked with fear. Krelon lowered his head. Our military forces are designed for peacekeeping, not warfare. The Mordan Empire has spent centuries perfecting the art of conquest. Their ships are faster, their weapons more powerful, their tactics more ruthless. Surely the combined fleets of all council species can stop them, suggested the crystalline delegate. Her voice rang like breaking glass. Combined, yes, agreed Krelon. But coordination between 47 different species, each with different technology and tactics, would take years to organize. We do not have years. Heejin Cha listened to the panic growing around her. She took careful notes on her datapad. Every word spoken here would be transmitted to Earth within the hour. The Etherian delegate flickered with agitation. What about requesting aid from the non-council species? Most are too small to be effective, replied the Altarian delegate. The few with significant military power have already been conquered by the Mordan. There must be something we can do, pleaded the Gorlan delegate. His massive voice echoed through the chamber like rolling thunder. Intelligence Officer Sang-wook. O sat in a hidden observation post above the council chamber. His job was to monitor alien communications during the session. What he heard confirmed humanity's intelligence reports. The galactic government was paralyzed by fear. Centuries of peace had made them soft. Their military technology focused on defense and deterrence. They had no experience with aggressive warfare. The Mordan Empire, by contrast, lived for conquest. Their entire society was built around military expansion. They had perfected the art of overwhelming primitive civilizations. What neither side realized was that humanity had been preparing for exactly this scenario. On Earth, President Jinnah Kim convened the Global Defense Council in the U.S. secure facility beneath Mount Taebaek. The room was filled with the most powerful people in human space. Generals, admirals, intelligence directors, and technology specialists. The Mordan Empire has accelerated their expansion timeline, reported General Tai Min Kang. Our sources indicate they plan to move into human-controlled space within 18 months. What do they know about our true capabilities? Asked President Kim. Nothing, replied Director Yuna Lim from Deep Space Intelligence. They see us exactly as the other aliens do. Primitive traders and miners with obsolete technology. Admiral Kyung-suk An activated a strategic display. It showed the positions of human facilities throughout the galaxy. Our network is in place. Phase 3 construction is ahead of schedule. The Shadow Fleet? Asked President Kim. 12 fully operational battle groups, reported Admiral Won-sik Yu. Each battle group contains technologies that alien species have never encountered. President Kim studied the tactical projections. Timeline for full revelation? Operation Sunrise can begin immediately upon your command, General Kang replied. However, we recommend waiting for the Mordan to make the first move. Let them attack human settlements. The galaxy will witness their aggression firsthand, and then they will witness our response, added Admiral An coldly. Dr. Min-ho Baek stood up from his chair. Madam President, our technology is now centuries ahead of anything in galactic civilization. The Masquerade has given us complete tactical advantage. Explain, President Kim ordered. Dr. Bayek activated a technical hologram. Alien faster than light. Travel relies on dimensional folding. Our quantum tunnel drives operate in higher dimensions that they cannot detect or track. Their weapons use particle acceleration and energy projection, he continued. Our phase variance weapons exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They can strike through any known defense. Most importantly, their military tactics are based on technologies they understand. They have no defense against capabilities they have never imagined. President Kim nodded slowly. Casualties? Minimal human losses expected, reported Admiral. We have been preparing for this conflict for 4 years. Every scenario has been analyzed. Morden casualties? Admiral Yu's expression hardened. Total military destruction. The Morden Empire will cease to exist as a military power. Intelligence reports continued flowing in from across the galaxy. The Morden fleets were massing for a major offensive. Their target list included 17 human settlements in the Outer Rim. What the Morden commanders did not know was that those human settlements were actually fortress worlds. Each one contained military technology disguised as primitive mining equipment. Each one was defended by elite human soldiers disguised as simple colonists. The Mordon were planning to attack the most heavily defended positions in human space. They believed they were targeting helpless civilians. War Chief Thrackmore reviewed the final attack plans in his flagship, the Blood of Victory. Around him, sub-commanders from 50 different Morden fleets waited for orders. The human settlements are isolated and weakly defended, he announced to the assembled officers. Each world has fewer than 100 military personnel. They use primitive kinetic weapons. What about the Galactic Council? Asked Sub-Commander Krexval. The Council species are paralyzed by fear, Thrackmore replied with contempt. They will debate and argue while we take what we want. By the time they organize any response, the human territories will belong to the Empire. Orders, War Chief? Asked another officer. Begin the offensive in 1 week, Thrackmore commanded. Target the human world simultaneously. Take as many slaves as possible. Kill any who resist. The Morden officers roared their approval. They had conquered dozens of species using these same tactics. Overwhelming force applied against defenseless civilians. It had never failed. Back on Earth, the intelligence reports reached President Kim within minutes of the Mordan meeting ending. They plan to attack 17 human worlds simultaneously, reported Director Lim. They expect total victory within days. Perfect, President Kim replied. Admiral On, deploy the Shadow Fleet to defensive positions. Make sure they remain undetectable until the attack begins. Understood, Madam President. General Kang, activate all sleeper assets. When the Mordan attack, I want them to face the full power of human military technology. It will be done. President Kim looked around the room at her advisors. 4 years ago, the galaxy laughed at humanity. They saw us as primitive children playing with dangerous toys. In 1 week, they will learn the truth, she continued. They will discover that we have been watching them, studying them, preparing for this moment. The masquerade ends now, she concluded. When the Morden Empire attacks human space, they will face an enemy they cannot comprehend. And when their fleets are destroyed, the galaxy will finally understand what humanity really is. Admiral On stood up from her chair. Orders for the fleet commanders? President Kim's voice was steady and cold. No prisoners, no mercy. The Morden Empire chose to threaten human civilians. They will face the consequences of that choice. The galaxy wanted to see human warfare, added General Kang grimly. They are about to get their wish. In space stations and hidden bases throughout the galaxy, human military forces received their final orders. The long masquerade was ending. The careful deception that had protected humanity for 4 years was about to be revealed. The aliens had laughed at human primitiveness. They had offered condescending help and patronizing advice. They had shared military secrets freely, believing humans were too backward to be a threat. Soon they would learn that their laughter had been premature. Soon they would discover that underestimating humanity was the most dangerous mistake any species could make. The storm was gathering, and when it broke, the galaxy would never be the same again. The Mordan Third Fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the new Busan system. War Commander Razor Thak stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical displays with satisfaction. According to intelligence reports, the human colony contained fewer than 5,000 civilians defended by perhaps 100 primitive soldiers. Target analysis complete, reported his tactical officer. The human settlement is located on the third planet. No orbital defenses detected. No military satellites, no energy shields. Razor Thak bared his teeth in what passed for a smile among his species. Exactly as expected, these humans will provide excellent slaves for the Empire. His fleet consisted of 12 heavy battleships and 30 escort vessels. Each ship carried weapons capable of reducing cities to ash. Against primitive human defenses, it was overwhelming force. Begin the attack approach, Razor Thak commanded. Target their communication arrays first. We do not want them calling for help. The Mordan ships moved toward the third planet in perfect formation. Their sensors showed exactly what they expected to see. A small human settlement with basic structures and simple technology. What their sensors did not show was the massive military complex hidden beneath the planet's surface, or the advanced defense systems disguised as mining equipment, or the elite human soldiers waiting in concealment. "Sir," called out the sensor operator, "I am detecting some unusual readings." "What kind of readings?" Razor Thak demanded. "Quantum fluctuations near the planet. Energy signatures that do not match our databases." Razor Thak frowned. "Probably just primitive human mining equipment. Their technology often produces strange readings." "Yes, sir," the operator replied, but he continued to monitor the strange signals. On the surface of New Busan, Colonel Min-Soo Park received the final confirmation from Earth Command. The Mordan fleet was in position. Operation Sunrise was authorized. "To begin. All units, this is command," he announced over the secure communication network. "The masquerade is over. Repeat, the masquerade is over. All personnel switch to combat protocols immediately." Throughout the colony, the transformation began. Buildings that appeared to be simple homes and shops revealed hidden weapon emplacements. Mining equipment unfolded into advanced defense platforms. Humble colonists discarded their civilian disguises and activated military-grade combat armor. The quantum fluctuations detected by Mordan sensors grew stronger. Space itself began to ripple around the human colony. "Sir," the Mordan sensor operator called out urgently, "the quantum readings are increasing exponentially. This is not normal mining equipment." Before Razor Thak could respond, space tore open around his fleet. Dimensional rifts appeared like wounds in reality itself. From these rifts emerged ships, unlike anything in galactic databases. The human vessels were sleek and angular, built from materials that seemed to absorb light. They moved without visible propulsion, sliding through space like predators emerging from shadows. Their hull designs defied conventional physics. Admiral Hyun-Woo Kang's voice cut across all communication frequencies. He spoke in perfect Mordan military dialect. "This is the human defense fleet. You have entered sovereign human space with hostile intent. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Razor Thak stared at the tactical displays in shock. 12 human vessels had appeared from nowhere, surrounding his fleet of 42 ships. The humans were outnumbered more than 3-1. "Impossible," he whispered. Intelligence reports said they had no significant military capability. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the human ships are not showing up properly on our sensors. Their energy signatures are strange." "All ships prepare for combat," Razor Thak commanded. "Target the human vessels. Show them the power of the Mordan Empire." The Mordan fleet opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams and particle weapons filled the space between the fleets. The barrage was enough to destroy a small moon. The human ships simply ignored it. The Mordan weapons passed through the human vessels without effect. Energy beams that should have melted hull plating had no impact at all. Particle accelerators that could shatter asteroids might as well have been shooting at empty space. "Report," Razor Thak shouted. "Our weapons are having no effect, sir," his tactical officer replied in a shaking voice. The human ships appear to be existing in a different dimensional phase. Our weapons cannot touch them. That is impossible. No species has that technology. Sir, the human ships are returning fire. What happened next would be remembered as the moment when galactic warfare changed forever. The human vessels did not fire energy beams or particle streams. Instead, they projected fields of distorted space-time that reached through dimensions the Mordan had never imagined. 3 Mordan battleships simply ceased to exist. They did not explode. They did not burn. They faded from reality as their molecular bonds were dissolved at the quantum level. "What in the void just happened?" Razorthak screamed. I do not know, sir," his science officer replied. "The ships just stopped existing. Their matter has been converted to pure energy and dispersed across multiple dimensions. More human." Weapons fired. The dimensional phase cannons reached through Mordan shields as if they were not there. 5 more battleships dissolved into expanding clouds of elementary particles. "All ships, retreat," Razorthak commanded. "Emergency faster than light. Jump!" But the Mordan ships discovered they could not escape. The human fleet had created a dimensional lock around the entire star system. Space itself had been frozen, preventing any faster-than-light travel. "Sir, the jump drives are not responding," reported the navigation officer. "Something is interfering with our dimensional fold generators." Razorthak watched in horror as his fleet was systematically destroyed by weapons he could not understand. The human ships moved through space like ghosts, untouchable by conventional weapons, dealing death with technologies beyond Mordan comprehension. Within 15 minutes, the Third Fleet ceased to exist. Only Razorthak's flagship remained, kept alive by human choice rather than Mordan strength. Admiral Hyun Woo Kang's image appeared on the main screen of the Mordan flagship. He was a calm man with steady eyes and an expression of cold determination. "War Commander Razorthak, Admiral," Kang said in perfect Mordan, "you came here to enslave human civilians. You expected to find defenseless primitives." Razorthak could only stare in shock. "Who are you? What are you?" "We are humanity," Admiral Kang replied simply. "For 4 years, we have watched your empire spread terror across the galaxy. We have studied your tactics, analyzed your technology, prepared for this moment. Your intelligence was correct about one thing," the Admiral continued. "We did appear primitive. We chose to appear primitive. It made you careless. It made you underestimate us." "This is impossible," Razorthak whispered. "No species develops this fast. No civilization jumps from primitive to advanced in mere years." Admiral Kang smiled coldly. "Who said we jumped? We were never primitive. Commander, we simply let you believe what you wanted to see." The dimensional lock around the star system dissolved. Space returned to normal, but for the Mordan Empire, nothing would ever be normal again. "Return to your empire," Admiral Kang commanded. "Tell them what you have seen here. Tell them that humanity is no longer hiding. The galaxy is about to change." Razorthak's damaged flagship limped away from the New Busan system. Behind him, the human colony continued its peaceful existence as if nothing had happened. The advanced warships had vanished back into whatever dimensional space they came from. But the message was clear. Humanity was no longer the helpless species that aliens had laughed at in the Galactic Council. Similar scenes played out across 17 star systems simultaneously. Mordan fleets that expected easy victories instead found themselves facing military technology beyond their understanding. The Empire's finest battle groups were reduced to scattered survivors within hours. On the water world of Aquatica Prime, cultural liaison Shung Ho Park stood before his shocked Nereid students. His humble demeanor was gone, replaced by the calm authority of a military intelligence officer. "You asked me about human warfare," he said to the class. "I told you we were primitive." "I lied," Professor Coral Lin bubbled with confusion. "I do not understand. Your technology, your weapons, everything we observed was carefully designed to meet your expectations," Sung Ho replied. "You wanted to see Primitive humans, so we showed you primitive humans. You shared military secrets because you believed we were harmless. Thank you for the information. It was very useful. The young Nereid student stared at him with wide eyes. One brave student asked, "What are you really?" Sung-ho smiled gently. "We are the species that learned to hide in plain sight. We are the civilization that turned mockery into camouflage. We are humanity. News of the Mordan defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The few surviving Mordan ships transmitted frantic warnings about human capabilities. But the warnings seemed impossible to believe." At the Galactic Council, emergency sessions convened around the clock. Ambassador Krelon stood at the central podium, trying to make sense of conflicting reports. The Mordan Third Fleet was completely destroyed at New Busan, he announced to the assembled delegates. Survivors report that human forces used unknown technologies to achieve total victory. 6 weeks after the first Mordan attack on human space, the war was over. General Bo-Ra Shin stood on the bridge of the command ship Seoul's Pride, watching the final Mordan stronghold surrender. Around her, the ruins of what had once been the galaxy's most feared military empire drifted in space. "Final casualty reports, General," announced her aide, Captain Jae-Sung Park. "Human losses? 17 personnel wounded, 0 deaths." General Shin nodded. The numbers were exactly what human strategists had predicted. 4 years of careful preparation had made the outcome inevitable. Mordan military casualties. Complete destruction of their battle fleet. Estimated 2.8 million military personnel. Captured or eliminated. Their war machine no longer exists. Civilian populations? Unharmed. Colonel Dae Jung-yoon's liberation forces are providing humanitarian aid to former slave worlds. Food, medical supplies, and transportation to their home systems. General Shin looked out at the stars. 6 weeks ago, the Mordan Empire had controlled 43 star systems and enslaved 18 different species. Today, their empire was a memory, and their former slaves were free. What is the status of Mordan leadership? War Chief Thrackmore and his command staff are in custody, reported Captain Park. They will face trial for war crimes under galactic law. Good. Make sure they receive fair trials. We are not conquerors like they were. On the former slave world of Kepler 442b, Commander Yuri Kwok supervised the distribution of relief supplies to freed Zephyrian colonists. The insect-like beings had been enslaved by the Mordan for over 30 years. Many had never known freedom. "The medical supplies are working perfectly," reported Dr. Sung-hee Lim. "We have treated over 50,000 patients in the past week. The healing gel you developed specifically for Zephyrian physiology is saving thousands of lives." "Commander," Kwok nodded. "What about the food situation?" "Solved. The vertical farms we established are producing enough nutrition for the entire population. The atmospheric processors have restored breathable air to the cities. Transportation? Human ships are providing free passage to any Zephyrian who wants to return to their homeworlds. So far, we have evacuated 1.2 million beings." Commander, Kwok watched as another group of former slaves boarded a human transport ship. The Zephyrians moved slowly, still struggling to believe they were truly free. Many wept with joy as they saw their home star growing larger through the ship's windows. "How long will the full evacuation take?" she asked. "At current rate, 18 months, replied Dr. Lim, "but only because we are being careful to ensure everyone is healthy enough for travel. The Galactic Council has offered to assist," added Communications Officer Min Jung-oh. "Tell them we appreciate the offer," Commander Kwok replied. "But we can handle this. We planned for exactly this scenario." Back on Earth, President Jinna Kim sat in her office reading reports from across the galaxy. The transformation was happening faster than even human planners had expected. Director Yuna Lim entered the room carrying a data pad. "Madam President, the intelligence summary you requested. How are the other galactic powers responding to our revelation?" "Mixed reactions," Director Lim replied. "The Helix Empire is quietly impressed. They are requesting technology sharing agreements. The Trilaxian Commerce Guild wants to renegotiate all their trade deals with us. The Nereid Confederation? Deeply embarrassed. They realize how much classified information they shared with our operatives. Their military is conducting a complete security review. President Kim smiled slightly. And the Crystalline Collective? Fascinated. They want to study our dimensional manipulation technology. Apparently, it challenges their understanding of physics. What about the smaller species? Universal gratitude. The 17 species freed from Mordan slavery have formally requested to establish diplomatic relations with Earth. Several want to join a mutual defense alliance. President Kim stood up and walked to her window. Outside, she could see the EY's lights of Sol stretching to the horizon. Above that, she knew human ships were patrolling the galaxy, keeping the peace that had replaced Mordan terror. The council session tomorrow? She asked. Formal ratification of our membership. Ambassador Jae-ho Kim will take his permanent seat as Earth's representative. Good. And the technology demonstrations? Chief Engineer So-young Kim is ready to show limited examples of our capabilities. Nothing too advanced, but enough to convince them we can handle galactic security. The next day, the Galactic Council convened in its great crystal chamber. But this time, the atmosphere was different. Gone was the casual confidence of species who believed they controlled galactic civilization. In its place was nervous respect for the new power that had emerged from the shadows. Ambassador Jae-ho Kim walked to the human section and took his seat. It was the same seat he had occupied for 4 years while aliens laughed at humanity's supposed primitiveness. Now he sat there as the representative of the galaxy's dominant military force. Ambassador Krelon called the session to order. Today, we formally welcome humanity as a full member of the Galactic Council. Representative Kim, please take your oath. Jae-ho stood and spoke the ancient words that bound council members to peace and mutual cooperation. But everyone in the chamber understood that the balance of power had fundamentally changed. The council recognizes the human request to address galactic security concerns, Krelon announced. Jae-ho activated his presentation system. Images appeared showing the current state of galactic affairs. Fellow council members, the Mordan threat has been eliminated. Their military capability no longer exists. Former slave worlds are being liberated and restored. However, he continued, our intelligence networks have identified other potential threats. The Outer Rim contains several aggressive species that may attempt to fill the power vacuum left by the Mordan collapse. The Zephyrian delegate clicked nervously. What do you propose? Humanity is prepared to assume responsibility for galactic peacekeeping, Jae-ho replied. Our forces are already positioned throughout the galaxy. We can respond to threats faster than traditional council fleets. What would this cost the council? Asked the Trilaxian representative. Nothing. We ask only for the authority to act when necessary. Council oversight and approval for major operations, but freedom to respond immediately to emergency situations. The aliens exchanged glances. They all understood what was being offered. Humanity would protect them, but in return they would acknowledge human authority in military matters. Cultural attaché Hyunjin Jung stood up from the human section. To demonstrate our capabilities, we would like to present some examples of Human Technology Chief Engineer So-young Kim activated a series of holographic displays. She showed dimensional phase generators, quantum tunnel drives, and matter conversion systems. Each technology was centuries ahead of current galactic science. These are defensive systems only, she explained. We are not sharing weapons technology, but we want the Council to understand the scope of human capabilities. The alien delegates watched in stunned silence. Every piece of technology shown would revolutionize galactic civilization. The humans had not just hidden their military power, they had concealed a technological revolution. Questions? Asked Ambassador Jae-ho Kim. The Nereid delegate raised a tentacle. For how long have you possessed these capabilities? The basic theories were developed over 2 centuries ago, Jae-ho replied. Practical applications were achieved approximately 50 years ago. Full deployment began when we made first contact with galactic civilization. You have been advanced for 50 years? The Etherian delegate flickered with shock. Yes. We chose to appear primitive while we studied galactic society. We needed to understand the political and cultural landscape before revealing ourselves. The crystalline delegate asked, "Why reveal yourselves now?" "Because the masquerade was no longer necessary," Jeho answered. "The Morden Empire forced our hand. We could not allow them to enslave human civilians." "And now?" asked Ambassador Krelon. "Now, we take our place as a galactic power," Jeho replied. "We will protect the weak, maintain the peace, and ensure that no species suffers as the Morden slaves did." The vote to approve human peacekeeping authority was unanimous. No one wanted to oppose the species that had just destroyed the galaxy's most fearsome military empire in 6 weeks. After the session ended, Ambassador Jeho Kim walked through the corridors of the council station. Other delegates nodded respectfully as he passed. The condescending smiles and patronizing comments were gone forever. He stopped at an observation window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships patrolled space lanes that had been terrorized by pirates for centuries. Former slave worlds were being rebuilt with human aid. The galaxy was more peaceful than it had been in generations. His communication device chimed softly. A message from Earth appeared on the screen. "Ambassador Kim, this is President Jina Kim. Congratulations on the successful council session." "How do you feel about the new status quo?" Jeho smiled as he composed his reply. "Madam President, it is remarkable how quickly attitudes can change. 4 years ago, these same aliens laughed at our supposed primitiveness. Today, they look to us for protection and guidance. Sometimes the greatest strength lies not in showing your power immediately," he continued, "but in having the patience to let others underestimate you on